Join me as you and I you take a journey to become better writers together and geek out. Oh, wait. I gotta tell you, I like that.
I didn't make the song. I just found it.
It kind of reminds me of Arsenio Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, hello, guys. It's the Written Writ. Here I am, Written Writ Ralph, with our guest, Charles W. Morgan, and Gage the Wolf. Of course, Nat, not the intern, is right there on the bottom.
Not the intern.
Am I? Am I
Stay out there.
All right. So far, we got Shen saying, "Hey, guys," and Angel,
Done.
the seventh saint himself, going, "Howdy, folks."
Hey guys.
Get on that Honkai Star Rail grind. Let's go.
I have no idea what you just said.
Like you guys don't even follow video games.
I knew it had to be something. Oh, man. Let's see what we got here. So, just in case things go south, Charles, let everybody know who you are, what you're doing, all the good stuff. Give them your spiel, and we'll put up your Kickstarter.
All right, 10-4. Well, yes, so I'm Charles W. Morgan, creator, writer, artist on Kutter, the comic series. And we're rolling out Kutter number 2 tonight. Well, actually last night. Kickstarter launched last night, and we're actually book number 1 kind of set up the story. It kind of laid everything in place. Dylan Cutter's kind of in a tough spot to start out with. His brother's been murdered. They're in a partnership in a private investigator firm called Kutter. And on page 1, he's just in a really dark place. He comes under gunfire and attack, and he ends up capturing the guy. And it ends up being the guy named Kevin Jones, the drug kingpin leader, and it's actually the same guy who murdered his brother. So they're really trying to take them all out for good. So the book kind of goes in and introduces his love interest, Triff Austin, and she is really acquainted with him beforehand. You can tell that, but they're not really romantically involved to begin with. But by the end of the book, it's kind of turning out that way. So book number 2 kind of picks up where she's left hanging at the end, and you'll see what we mean. If you haven't read book number 1, you need to check it out. I don't want to leave spoiler. So, yeah, he's showing some of the cover artists and interior artists.
Hey, we know that guy.
yeah, editor.
And that guy.
Yeah, right, Rob Powers. He does my logos on the book. Jason Meadows. We got some interior pages. That's some of the interior pages of the opening action. Page number 2, and that's where Triff is left hanging, and we'll see what happens as we go from there with the story as the story unfolds.
So you're saying it's a cliffhanger?
Yeah, it's a cliffhanger. So she's got to be rescued. So Dylan, he's really in a tight spot here because he's got people shooting at him. He's got to deal with people and try to get her rescued before something very tragic happens. So it's a real intense, action-packed book. It's got characterization. I introduced a couple of new characters to the book. Also, muscle cars are a big thing with me. So I've actually introduced a muscle car that's his set of wheels that he drives. Dylan Kutter is our main character, and he's got this 69 Chevelle Classic that he's driving, and it gets totally wrecked right here in a car chase scene. And it's I just love a good car chase scene, and I wanted to put that in there. Just it's just something. It's really something that I'm passionate about. And we got some tiers here, some reward tiers. We have a Mark McKenna signed, autographed cover C that inked over my pencils. That's available. and there's only it's limited to 10 copies. So like
I was wondering what this was.
Yeah, so it's limited to 10, and of course it costs more because I have to ship it to Mark and pay for him to ship it back to me.
Ah, okay.
So there's the cost of that. So it is more, but it'll come with a certificate of authenticity from 4Speed Studios. We have some sketch cover tiers. So if you want me to draw something on it, you could get that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Commission me to sketch something on it, or any artist of your pick. You wouldn't have to be me. And that's a number 1 and number 2 book, depending on what you want. And it's a 5-pack. You can get 5-pack, of sketch covers. You can get a book 1, book 2, and then that's the cover for the studio cover for book number 1. That's studio cover A for book number 2.
I love the car.
Yeah, I like that perspective.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's that one's a little tricky to pull off, but
So how many pages is the book?
number 1 was 27, which is more than a typical Marvel DC book, and then
Right.
this number 2 book is 23, which is still more than a typical book, So it's it's got a good bit of story going on in those 27 pages and 23 pages respectively. And I really believe in the story. I've been told by a couple of people in the movie industry as well as the comic industry that the book is well written. So that's just not me saying it's well written. That's somebody else's opinion that I respect. So
I gotta admit, I love this cover here.
yeah, so that one is my pencils with Joseph Rubinstein's ink. He's the legendary inker that did the 1982 Wolverine miniseries.
Yeah.
And he inked that, and Jesse Hickey knocks the colors out on all these covers. This one right here is a Larry Stroman cover. He was X Factor, X-Men fame.
You really went out there to get some good cover people.
Yeah. So I got some really good cover artists on this thing. I got Mark McKenna, Joseph Rubinstein, and Larry Stroman. And that's a tier where you got book number 1 and number 2 that you can just get, the studio A covers just to make it simple.
I feel like this is an important tier that most Kickstarters don't do. I don't understand why they don't do it, but
yeah, I want to make it simple. So if somebody just wants a number 1, number 2 physical copy, they can just get that,
Gotta love it. Like I said, I want to be able to get the books. Like if I missed issue 1, I want to be able to get issue 1.
Yeah, exactly. So I got issue 1 and issue 2 available on this Kickstarter. I got a pick any 3 cover tier right there, and you can pick any 3 of those covers. That's book number 1, and then if you scroll down, then you got the Cold Cutter all in for number 1, so that'd be all 5. Then you got pick any 3 covers, book number 2 right there.
Right.
And then if you scroll down a little more, you'll see that all in. You can get all 5.
So is that second cover? Is that a wraparound?
That actually was planned to be a wraparound, but when I did the original art, I didn't size the image correctly.
Okay.
But I've always loved a sideways comic.
Sideways comic is always interesting to me.
I decided to do a sideways cover, which I thought would be unique as well. So I said, let's just do a sideways cover,
I think it shows it off even better as a sideways cover, because it would have been nice as a wraparound, but this looks really good as a sideways.
The problem with the wraparound was you'd only see his arm and the gun and his leg,
Yeah.
And then the back cover looked better. So, but Jesse Hickey knocked those colors out for me really good. I really love those covers. And then we had the 4Speed Studios all in, so it's all 5 of number 1 at the top row, and all 5 covers of book number 2 at the bottom row.
I gotta admit, you made it really easy for somebody to because sometimes it's kind of difficult to figure out how to get what you want, but you made it really easy to get everything you want, and you separated it so that you don't have to get stuff you don't want.
Well, Phil Russert did this page for me, and he was just, man, he's just great at doing this kind of stuff. I just asked him to try to make it easy for some of these people that really have trouble with Kickstarter. Like if they're not familiar with it, it's really confusing. So I talked to some people and kind of got some feedback and things like that. So
I gotta admit, when you showing it, when you and Phil were showing this off last night, I was like, ooh, I like myself a good sticker.
Yeah, so I've got some die cut stickers there, and they don't look like much on here, but they're actually chrome.
Oh, when you showed it off last night, I was impressed because it really looked good. Like sometimes when you look at it on the campaign, you're like, okay, and then when you look at it in person, you're like, that's not what I saw. But when you showed it off last night, I was like, ooh.
Yeah. and then the car one right there with the car in it.
Yeah.
I actually have in red letters Cold Cutter across.
Yeah, that's what impressed me last night because I saw the red lettering just pop out.
Yeah, pops out. And then if you scroll down a little more, there's a full color one there with the rounded corners.
Oh wow! Okay,
that's the wraparound. Well, the sideways cover.
Exactly.
But I did some stickers of that. So yeah, so at 1,500 we'll unlock the first one, and 2,200 the muscle car, and hopefully we hit 3,000 and we can unlock that beautiful full color sticker there.
That's beautiful. I gotta say, when I told you last night, I think you should like have a tier where you can get the car, like a Matchbox or a Hot Wheel.
I would really like to do that. I'm really interested in that, because I could always add that. Say if we hit 3,500, 4,000,
exactly,
do something like that,
Yeah, because as a kid, I loved those little cars.
Me too. Yeah. We used to have the little Hot Wheels cars with the little ramps,
Oh yeah.
The loop ramps. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I still have some of them lying around. The ramps aren't blue though, but
mine was orange.
Yeah, so here we have some unpublished art that I did on 9x12 Bristol board.
Yeah.
So that one's actually already been pledged on. Unfortunately, it's gone. Well, they're one of a kind. So once they're gone, they're gone. But that one's available as far as I know still. That's a con sketch I did at Atlanta Comic-Con about 3 weeks ago. And this is another one.
So you're actually giving people a little bit of pieces here that they get something like unique to this Kickstarter.
Yeah. It's like Kickstarter exclusive sketches.
Yeah.
And like once they're gone, they're gone. But last time we sold out of them pretty fast, so I created about 3 or 4 more.
Oh, cool.
So I will go back and add them mid-campaign.
Oh, see, that's good to know. You hear it out there, folks. You might add some extra stuff in the middle of the campaign, so you better keep checking in.
Yes, sir. Yep. And that's your add-on for make one version.
The Virgin looks really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That cover was penciled and inked by me, and Jesse Hickey did the colors. And then you can do a foil on that one, make mine foil. So any cover you want full, you can get full, okay? Any cover you want virgin, which means it just doesn't have the logos on it. It's just the art. You can have that done, or you can have it a virgin foil.
Oh, yeah. So, I've seen the virgin foils. They usually look really pretty.
They are. Especially the really colorful cover, like that sideways cover right there, would be awesome in foil.
I gotta admit, the sideways cover has come in handy for you. Let me see if this will play for us. All right, here we go.
I find myself in the middle of a gun battle. I've been shot, bleeding, can't see through the smoke from my gun barrel. I can hear my heart beating in my ears. Faster, faster, desperate, so desperate to rescue Triff from these murderous crime lords. I have only moments to get to Liberty's ground to save her. They crossed the wrong guy, and nobody is gonna stop me.
Great. That's a great voiceover by you, Raphael.
That voice sounded familiar. I don't know why.
Sure does.
Dude, I gotta admit, Rob put together a great little trailer there.
Yeah, he did. I really enjoy it, and the music's perfect for it. He nails it every time.
Yeah, I was wondering how the voiceover was gonna go because last time I had an idea,
Yeah.
so I made the voiceover specific to it. But this time I was like, okay, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I'll just go with it.
Yeah, you did a great job. You gave me like 2 samples, and I just played them over and over, and I was like, they're really close, but they're different.
Yeah.
And you nailed it on the one I picked. I thought it was the best. Yeah.
So how long has your Kickstarter been going?
We launched it last night, so we're at 64% of our goal.
Yeah, congrats on that.
Oh, thank
That's
you very
pretty
much.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty fast.
That's not 20. Yeah.
Sophie J Stuff says very cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And so we're just trying to, just kind of get it going, and just hopefully we'll fund within the next week, and from that point we can just try to raise the money, level up, because we really need to get it up to 2 or 3,000 to really kind of break even with everything you got. But it's just one of those things that if we don't quite get there, it's okay. We're still going to be all right. So
I'm happy you said that because we say it here all the time. People, just because something funds doesn't mean they're where they're supposed to be. Sometimes they put it so that it can fund, so that they can continue to try to make this thing happen. And nobody's making any money out of these Kickstarters. They're just trying to get the book established. And when they do make a little bit extra, they usually put it right back into the book.
That's right. It's going right back into what you're doing. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You got Pete Vasquez there going, Gage!
Pete!
Oh man. Yeah, it bugs me out so when people are like, oh wow, look, they funded it, and then they go away. I'm like, no, they need more help.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want you to go away. We want you to kind of get us there and get us over the hump. And then we got some free stuff too. So if we can hit some of those stretch goals, obviously we got those really beautiful stickers, and then I may add some stuff like maybe the little muscle car with the, it's possible. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody about it yet, so it may not happen on this one, but we'll figure something
on the next one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I asked you the last time, why a detective story?
Why a detective story? Well, I kind of grew up loving, crime novels, crime stories on television. I later on started reading things like Alex Raymond's Rip Kirby's. There's like volumes like this,
right?
The comic strips series that he did back in the 40s, 50s. These things were just beautiful, gorgeous artwork and those things. And I just said, I'd really like to do a crime noir detective story on classic style art, the classic style, but have it in a modern era.
Right.
So this story is in the modern era in Manhattan, but he drives a classic Chevelle, right? So his car is 50 years old, but we're in the modern time,
It's so funny though, because when I was watching the art while we were going through it, I saw modern TV, and I had to remember, oh, it's a modern time.
Were you a big Dick Tracy fan too?
Yeah, so I've got this book that a friend of mine gave me, and it's a Dick Tracy book. It's by Chester Gould, and it's just a volume of Dick Tracy.
Nice.
And so I've been looking through that, and this has really been an inspiration. But I really didn't grow up reading that Dick Tracy stuff. I just kind of recently started looking at that about a year ago. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of things that give you some inspiration, like the television show Mike Hammer years ago. I was watching that when all my other buddies were watching Magnum PI. So it's just whatever you enjoy.
Well, Magnum PI, it sits in the same vein, because it was an 80s style noir show. It was really colorful though.
It was too colorful for me.
It's funny though, because I love detective stories. I was raised on detective stories. One of my first characters was a detective, so it was interesting. I was like, I don't think I asked him why he did a detective, but it kind of makes sense. And I know you were close in age, So it completely makes sense to me.
Yeah, we're pretty much an age, I think, and back in the 80s, like you were saying, there was a lot of shows that were
Oh
kind
yeah,
of along that. And if you look at the movies that were before our time,
yeah.
really, they were in the 50s, 60s. There was a lot of crime noir movies.
Oh, that definitely was.
James Cagney and all these guys that just made a whole entire career on that stuff.
And then at the same time, we knew Dick Tracy, we knew the Shadow, we knew the
Yeah.
Spirit.
Right, right.
These are things that start to form you in a certain way. And the early Batman stuff was crime noir.
Yeah, it was. I think Neil Adams kind of was known for turning it kind of more noirish, at one point before Frank Miller did his deal, back in the 80s when we were probably in our teens, But I enjoyed that Dark Knight series. It was really, really great in my opinion. And but even when that came out back then, I never viewed it as something that was mainstream. I always viewed it like a what if.
It's funny though, because you're right. At a certain point, Batman was just a Batman book. It is not what it is today.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
somewhere in the middle of the 80s where it started to explode, and you had 10,000 Batman books.
Yeah, that's true. 17 titles this week.
Oh, dang.
Now it's like the Batman universe. Same thing with Marvel and their Spider-Man universe.
Yeah. So I really wanted to produce a book that would be different than what's being done now. So I've checked out all the recent stuff that looks like some kind of noir book. I've just about read it all, and I want to do something that was different. It's along the same vein, but we don't have to focus so much on the guts and the gore and seeing somebody's brains blown out the back of their head. I don't think you have to do that to convey the story.
I think sometimes, the fact that you can't show something makes you more creative, makes you become more in everything, because you have to figure out how to show it without showing it.
Exactly, and I think that kind of storytelling is much more interesting. Where you have this scary monster, but you don't show it. It's like your imagination's playing on you more. So it's like by not seeing it, it's a bigger deal.
Definitely. That's what I like about the old horror movies is the fact that sometimes it was more of a mental horror.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And I like that old noir type horror too. The classic Universal movies.
Mm-hmm.
And all this feels like it goes together.
Yeah. I really enjoy a lot of the stuff that it's kind of inspired me as far as doing my book and everything. Is just all of that combined. So I haven't just said, well, one thing inspired me. It's just I've had this story kind of in my head kicking it around for a couple of decades. Honestly, I just said, one of these days I'm gonna do this noir story. And so I did sketches. I did all kind of character sketches and different things. And then finally, the story just kind of dumped in my lap one day. It just popped in. I was like, "That's it."
That's very cool. I like that it took years to develop.
I know the feeling because my detective, like I said, it was the first character I created. He's been around since I was a 8-year-old kid. So,
Yeah.
So he's been marinating in there, doing other things, showing up in places he shouldn't be.
Oh, okay.
And that's what happens as a writer. Certain people and certain characters just stick with you for some reason for a long time.
Right.
And they keep talking to you going, come on, print me.
Yeah, exactly.
Gage, I know it's the same with you too, right? There's these little characters that just stay in your head going, when are you going to finish my book?
Oh my goodness. So much writing to finish. But a lot of times I just tend to sit down and short story though. And that's what makes, my comic has a long-term story, but a lot of stories I do are long-term stories that you only see in parts.
Yeah. I feel you. I'm the same way as we both realized.
So, because you can do the art, did you consider a novel at any time, or was it always going to be a comic book?
Ooh, good question.
Are you talking about Cold Cutter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was always going to be a comic book. I had thought about doing a graphic novel. Just say, hey, just do one big, 200-page deal.
Like the volumes you read.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I thought, well, no, that'd probably be too expensive. It'd take too long to do. And I thought, just release it in singles, and then I'll collect it.
Sometimes that helps because it lets you see how the story's going, and once you finish that issue, you know where that ends, and you know where the next one picks up, and then you know what the next one ends, and then it kind of makes it a little easier to like we were just talking, Gage and I. Sometimes we like to write shorts,
Yeah.
and it's easier to do the shorts because you know exactly what you want in that short, and I feel like that's the same thing with your book here. You know what you want for this issue, you know what you want for that issue, and
Yeah.
it kind of makes it kind of does its own thing.
Exactly. It's kind of like chapters. You're thinking, well, I want to do this in this chapter, and then I want to maybe introduce some new characters, maybe change. Like in book 2, there is a major metamorphosis going on with one of the characters. So that's book 2. Then book 3, I'm planning on having some more stuff that's going to develop. And by the end of book 5, your jaw is going to be dropping. So,
So is this something you intend to do like for a long time, or do you have like a set number of issues that'll come out? Or
that's a good question. I've kind of planned the first story arc to be a 5-issue series, and if at the end of number 5, I'm going to make a decision, and I may decide before then, but at least by then I'll decide if I'm going to continue it consecutively or if I take a break and do a different book and then come back and do another set.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm done with it for sure. I just may not do it consecutively.
Okay.
It sounds like you're not done with it. It feels like there's something, and I know Gage knows this as well. There's something brewing in that head, and you're like trying to get it all together so it goes where it needs to go.
Well, and like you said, this is a passion he built over years.
Mhm.
So I mean, these first 5 stories, if he finishes it, then I mean, he might need the same number of years to get to the next set of stories, and working on something in between couldn't hurt.
Exactly.
I don't think I could wait that many years. I don't think I got that. You see his white beard right here.
I got the same thing you do though, like the passion. Like I'm an older guy, and at some point I just decided, I wanna get a story out there. I want an audience bigger than my 6 role players or my 7
Yeah.
role players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So what is your story? What do you do?
So I write Godslayers, and Godslayers is the story of a group of heroes who are trying to save their world Athenea from a Yama King of betrayal. It's a fantasy story. If you're a D&D fan or a role-playing fan, you'd really dig it, probably.
Yeah.
It's got a very animated style. Mario Ebaraza, who did my art, he's working real hard to become an animator, and you can see it in the style of the book.
Yeah, it does look like the cartoon come to paper, I should say.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm only on my second book too. I'm just starting to introduce my characters and lay the story out.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
That
I'm working on Godslayers 3 now. So
Okay. So you're the creator and writer?
I'm the writer. I'm paying for everything, so producer, I guess.
Okay.
And then my artist is Mario. And,
Okay.
he's a great guy. He lives out actually toward Raff, so.
Okay.
So it's funny though that you're saying this because I've always been jealous of the fact of being able to write and draw your own stuff because it would save me so much work, but at the same time it would be so much work to be able to do that because there's projects I want to get done, and I know that I have to find an artist and pay them, and that's delayed me.
So I used to feel the same way. Like I draw a little, like when I do Godslayers, I lay out the panels, I draw
Right.
like silhouette figures and stuff like that. But then I saw Mario bring that thing to life, and
Yeah.
there's no other artist that should be drawing Godslayers for the
Yeah.
interior of the book. Like there isn't one. He gave it such a unique quality.
Yeah.
He definitely did.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Charles, do you find it easier, harder, a lot of work? What do you find it? Charles, you.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. I had a feeling. I think we dipped out for a minute. Do you find it easier or harder being able to do the project on your own because you're doing the writing and the drawing at the same time?
Yeah. So actually, I think because I'm the creator, writer, and artist of the book, I think there's an advantage to that, and I'm not dissing on any other processes.
Oh
Because
no.
great.
No.
Everybody's got a specialty, but I think when you kind of write and draw everything, you can kind of vary the way you tell the story, and you kind of know what you want, so you're kind of working backward in a way. I don't know if
Right.
that makes sense or not.
No, that makes sense.
So
Well, and it's definitely going to turn out as the vision in your head as well, because when you're collaborating with an artist, it kind of becomes this like a baby, like it's a little piece of you and a little piece of them, and so it's not exactly what you had in your head either.
No.
Yeah, that can be a great thing. There's been great team ups of artists and writers that's been done legendary stories and work, and then there's been legendary creators that do it all. So
Yeah.
I don't any one way that's right, but I just think like you said, it's kind of the vision I want. So at the end of the day, it kind of ends up being what I want most of the time, because sometimes I can't really draw what I want to make it look like. So I'm a little frustrated sometimes with that, because there might be things I'm strong at drawing. Some people say, you draw stars really well. And I'm like, oh, they do kind of come a little easier for me.
And that's something like I think all artists notice too, like not just artists but writers or whatever. Whenever you're using a skill, you're always trying to improve that skill as you go. It's never quite what you want. You're always reaching for that next level.
Now that you bring that up, Gage, I have to say that one of the issues that I had, like the story was finished ages ago for our duel, but I just kept going back in there going, this isn't right. It's not conveying what I wanted to convey. There's something missing. Even now, after I sent it to you, I was like, I'm still kind of like, there's a part of it where I think needs to be done differently. But I was like, I need to stop, because as writers and as artists, we need to stop editing our stuff, because if we'll continue.
Yeah. You have to learn that there's a point where you have to let go and just be like, okay, it's done.
Yeah. So that's the thing too, with like, self-publishing your stuff too. Like I'm the publisher also. So it's like, you're kind of wearing that hat that says, hey, we got this amount of time. I got to do it, move to the next page. I'm pretty good at doing that. Then I go back when I'm done with all of it, and I kind of edit my artwork and go, okay, I should have done this, so I'll change it or maybe improve on it a little bit here or there, just kind of tweak it a little bit.
And now all of this is drawn by hand, right?
It's all on by hand on 11 by 17 Bristol board.
Dang.
How long does it take you to do that? Because I can see that you're putting out a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. So what's your timing on that?
Yeah, so I get up every morning at 4:30 a.m. I'm kind of like the old teacher Dono story, where he says, I get up at 3:30 and I draw for 2 hours, then I get ready, then I commute to New York. Well, see, I'm kind of that way. I get up at 4:30 and I draw for a couple of hours before I go to work. So I work from storyboards. So I take my script and then I develop storyboards for the story. Now, when I get ready to do a page, storyboard's already there. It's small thumbnail, about 3 inches tall, about 2 inches. So I kind of know what my design is going to look like for the page. Then I just kind of go at it. So the pencils are kind of quick. Now, I don't have to do tight pencils because I'm inking it.
I got you.
So I can kind of take liberty.
Yeah.
I don't have to pencil it like tight to make sure that I get what I want. I do that in the inking stage. So it's not breakdowns. I do pencils, and sometimes I do them pretty tight. Sometimes I do them really loose. So I can speed the process up by doing that. And I also go ahead and ink the page one by one. I don't pencil the whole book, go back and ink the whole book.
So you take care of each thing one at a time. That must also help you with the story.
Yeah, it kind of keeps the page on the board a little longer, but I don't have to take it off the board, handle it twice, bring it back to the board. A little more efficient way of working.
Not only that, but as soon as he inks it, he lets it go. At that point, he's not going back and fixing the pencils. He lets it go. This page is as good as I'm doing right now. Boom, on to the next one, you know?
Yeah, then I take 12 pages and I send them to my letterer, and he's lettering those while I'm finishing the last 12 or 15 pages.
And he's got the good work habits. So I do the same thing, only I do it after work. I come home from work and I spend about an hour to 2 hours.
Yep.
Lately, it's been working on my Kickstarter stuff because I just finished my Kickstarter as well, getting all my stuff organized and getting ready to get my books printed and shipped. But I spend that time writing every day. I made that a habit, an hour to 2 hours every day when I come home.
That's good. That's what you have to do. You have to be dedicated to it and do it regardless of how you feel, if you're tired or not. You just have to do it.
And a lot of people always ask how do you write? I'm like, you just write. I wish I had Gage's thing, but with me, it's more of if I sat there for 2 hours, I'm not gonna write nothing. But if I go through the day and I write whenever something pops into my head, which is what I do, I find that I can handle things because I'm not writing everything in one shot. It's being written as it hits my head, and then I work it that way until it finishes. Then finally, I'll come back down. Then I'll sit for like an hour or two trying to figure out how it's working, what's not working. Because you start to tweak things, you start to look at things, and especially when it comes to conversations. I don't know how you guys handle it, but when it comes to conversations, sometimes you're sitting there going, "No, that doesn't sound right."
Sometimes. A lot of times I rewrite conversations a couple of times, but I do the same thing. So I do a lot of my writing on my phone, and so I have it everywhere I go through Google Docs, and I do a lot of my writing on there during breaks and stuff like that. But you'll find, like you said, oh, when I sit down for 2 hours, I won't write. I didn't at first either. I sat and brainstormed and made notes and thought to myself,
I do all that.
But there's a wall, and you eventually push through it, and then you just start doing it. It starts to become something you think about during the day anyways, and then you're ready when you get home.
It's so funny because what'll end up happening is I'll sit here and go, so I'm going to write this, and all of a sudden I go, wait a minute, I got an idea for a TikTok.
That's a whole different animal.
Exactly. Speaking of TikTok, on TikTok, I answered this question about script writing, and I'm going to bring it in here for you guys, because especially Charles, because they asked the question, when you're your own artist and writer, I heard you say you write a script, so you write a script, but that script is different than if you were send it to an artist outside of you.
Yeah.
How do you write your script so that it makes it easier for you yourself to do this? Do you write all the bits and pieces in it, like you need to draw this and you need to do that? How do you do that?
No, so what I do is I write like what I would call an artist script that the letterer can work with, right? So I do do a script that says panel 1 description, caption, dialogue, what's going on dialogue. I do that for every page, every panel. But the thing is, if I want to draw this angle, that angle, I actually put it on the Bristol board to the side.
Right.
When I start penciling the page, start drawing my borders out, then I'll put the little notes on the side of the Bristol board and the margin.
That's a good idea.
And then I just start working that way. So the notes are already on there, and it kind of helps me keep my mind going the way it should go. And so that's kind of my process. Is I work from the script, then I go to the storyboards. Then from the storyboarding, and I've actually got a pad that's for comic book storyboarding. It's already kind of laid out. You just kind of fill it in and put your panels kind of how you want to design your page. So I try not to do just little grids of 8 panels and little grids of 7 and make it kind of boring. I try to do some design in it.
I can tell because your book looks more dynamic. It's not your usual paneling. It's done more to showcase the story.
Yeah, exactly. I try to make it flow with the story of what's happening. So if it's some kind of dramatic scene, I want it to kind of be where the borders and the design of the panel pages reflect that. Yeah, and keep your eye.
Even by himself, his process isn't that different than mine. So I write my script and then I storyboard it.
Yeah.
Okay. And send it to the artist. So
right.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
I do write a separate lettering script for the letterer though.
It seems to be like something important. Do you guys suggest that? Because I know sometimes the letterer kind of gets left out there. Nobody really thinks about them. Especially when you're writing a chunk of dialogue, nobody thinks about the letterer and how the letterer is going to handle that.
No, I made that mistake.
Yeah, so I'm always sort of conscious of that. I don't know why, because I think I started trying to letter and balloon my own pages, and I realized on about page 8 that this is not going to work. Okay, there's something I got to let somebody else do, and that's lettering and ballooning. Okay, because I'm not going to be able to do that and make it look right. So I was kind of conscious of, you don't want to put too many characters on a panel, but obviously you want to tell the story, and if you want to slow the story down, maybe you have more script on a page.
Yeah,
for pacing purposes.
And with Godslayers episode 2, I just wrote my lettering into my storyboard to make sure there was space for it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
I have to say, like, it also says something for dynamic lettering. I know sometimes, you'll just write the lettering stuff, but I feel like I've always loved sound effects in comics. I want to see the boom, the crack-a-doom.
Those are hard.
The zap.
Yeah.
And I find some letterers who actually play with it in a way where it actually it enhances the story.
Yeah, so Jason Meadows did that for me in Cold Cutter #1. The very last page where the gun goes off, he's got boom really big right behind it, and it just really enhanced it.
I gotta admit that there's been times where that's what sold the book for me. I'm like, oh my god, that was great.
As soon as I saw it, I said, that's awesome.
I think that's why I love the Batman shows so much from '66 was that it felt like you're watching a comic book when this stuff would pop up on the screen.
I loved it as a kid.
That's so old school. I love that show too.
Yeah.
So that's good to know, because I got to go back and answer that question on the TikTok, and they were asking as if you're an artist and a writer and you're doing your own stuff, how would that script be? And I feel like both you and Gage have answered that. It needs to be written enough so that you know what you're doing. And at the same time, there's other people that are involved in this project, like the letterer, that needs to know certain things.
Yeah, exactly. I used to work really rough, like really loosely with the script in the beginning of book 1. And then I realized the letterer is going to have something. So just do a full script that he can work from to start with. So that's just what I do,
And I think another thing people forget, and I know we can all talk about this not right now, is the fact that there's a team usually. Even you Charles, you're doing the art and the writing. You still have a team of people who are handling your book, and I think people constantly forget that when it comes to comic books.
Yeah. So the team is shorter on my book, but it's still a team. We still have to work together on a project, So I'm just kind of coordinated, like the cover Larry did. He says, I kind of told him what I wanted. Larry, the Larry Stroman cover.
Yeah.
I told him what I wanted. He's like, well, can you give me a sketch of what you want? So I gave him a layout, just a real crude, loose, couple of lines here, a couple of lines there kind of thing. And then he sends his cover back, and I'm like, whoa.
I love those surprises.
I love those moments when you receive art.
Yeah, it was awesome. And when he mailed it to me, it was wrapped in some kind of heavy paper. And I'm thinking, what is this? It's not even an envelope. It was like wrapped and taped, to the max. So I'm cutting through this thing, and there's this hard board in there. And I'm like, what is that? And I pull it out, and it's like Formica, about 1/4 inch thick stuff. I mean, you couldn't bend that with a truck if you tried.
Damn.
So I sent him a note, and I said, man, I've never seen art mailed this way. There's no way anybody's bending this. And he's like, Dad.
That's the way to do it, though. I find that sometimes when you and it kind of pisses me off, if somebody will send you something in the mail and it gets messed up and they look at you like you did something, I'm like, no, dude, you should have sent this in a way where it's not going to get messed up.
Exactly.
Right now, I'm supposed to send something to Jordan, and I want to get I need to get the the tube, because that's I want to make sure it gets to him without getting messed up.
Just before he comes here.
Dude, I keep looking at this every day. I'm just gonna have to go buy the tube because I'm just gonna have to go look for it. I thought it was gonna come to me, but it's not working. So, oh man, and it's important to when you're sending stuff like that. When you're sending your comics, when you guys do your Kickstarters, I appreciate the fact that when you guys send your comics, you guys are making sure that it gets to the person with the less damage as possible. I got like a Mark Hamill Jack in the Box book, and I know I showed it on the show. I think Nat remembers, and that thing showed up like this.
Oh no!
Oh,
And I understand that it's a promotional comic, but dude, that thing looked like it went through hell and back. It had its own comic book story just getting to my house.
It looked like an accordion. It did this number.
Spines all messed up. Page corners are all like half washed out.
Oh no! If you mail something in a paper envelope, that's what you're going to get. And I have mailed stuff out in a padded envelope with corrugated cardboard on both sides, taped, and it's done fine. But that's artwork. I have mailed books that way. But yeah, you want to send them out in the Gemini. That's what I mail mine in.
Yep.
It really protects them. I haven't had anybody so far complain about damage.
Let me see. A couple of people have said something to Gage, so let me throw this up. It's been busy here on the side for you, Gage. It's like Gage,
Pete.
BC raid.
Okay.
Gage, well, he said Gag the Wolf. He goes Gag the Wolf. I heard Gage can stick his whole fist in his mouth.
Come on, guys.
Then there's like, ask Gage about Mr. December.
They're really coming after you today.
Oh, they're good guys. Those guys are my mentors. Before I started my comic book, like these guys taught me everything. They helped me through when I got my PDFs done and talked to me about lettering and helped me find cover artists for Godslayers episode 1.
Ooh.
And like they really came out for me. So they've got a little backing from me for coming in and picking on me and saying hi. So I'm good with it.
It's like Mr. December. And then Pete was saying bye. He's like, great show, gentlemen. As always, have a good night. Good night, Pete.
Those are my boys. So
I'm watching this thing pop up on the side. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Well, everybody's got their mentors, and that's really great that they've helped you, to get your stuff out there and connect you with the right people, and that's always great. Like Phil done that with me. He kind of connected me up with Raphael here, on the trailer, the voiceovers, and another artist, cover artists, and things like that. So he's really been great.
Phil has a great heart. He's always looking out for us. Especially like when you're it's one of your dreams to like be able to voice over stuff. Phil's usually looking out for me, and that's why you can tell when I'm doing the voiceover. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah,
you're getting as it gets because I got to do like 10,000 takes. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And it all reminds me of being the DM, though, because as a DM, you got to do all these voices to make sure that certain characters sound a certain way for your players,
or are unique, or get their attention in a certain way, or there's just so much that goes into that.
Oh, dude! When I watch the shows with the guys who do the live games, it's always interesting to see when they really get into it. And sometimes I'm like, damn, I don't go that far.
I bet those live games are hard because there's a lot of downtime with people just chatting.
Yeah.
When you run an 8-hour game, so
that's because you just gotta keep going. You just gotta keep playing. You gotta get people who are into the improv. You gotta.
He's kind of right though. If you're gonna
17, all right, I'm gonna go straight in for the defense kill. Like I'm just swinging my shield out, and if that don't bash, I'm going straight over to my medic.
That's definite.
I'm pretty sure it's just the 8-hour thing.
I gotta admit, anytime we played an 8-hour game, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't at all. By the end of it, we're either all crazy tired, acting insane, and when you do the stupid thing of letting alcohol into your game, by the 8th hour, everybody's just gone.
So you're telling me you've never experienced suicidal flaming sky whales dropping on top of you and your team at like 1 a.m. in the morning, and everyone's scrambling to find out what to do?
It was a flying ship with me, and it was about to land on top of them, and they had to figure out what they were going to do. And they were like, "Wolf, what the hell? You guys put this on yourself." One of them decided to shoot it down.
Suicidal flaming whales sounds as bad as flying sharks.
Yeah.
Flying sharks, you just high five and say good game.
Sharknado.
Yeah, Sharknado.
You just gotta grab one and you just gotta swing with it.
Oh, here's another question for you, Charles. I asked you why the detective, but why New York?
Why New York? It just seems like the natural place for it.
I agree.
You know, the cityscapes, the gritty alleyways, the skyline. There's just so much you can work with. And I took a trip to New York City back in 2020. We went up there with our son, who was graduating from college at the time, was looking at going to NYU. So we took a trip up there and enjoyed all the sights, walked around, just really was in awe, went to the Statue of Liberty, just couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like, wow. I've seen it in books all my life, but never really knew what it would be like to go. So
was it different for you seeing it in person? Because I know I know the rest of the country sees a lot of videos, a lot of movies, a lot of, and New York has its I guess, mythology. When you came in person, was it what you thought it was?
I've always kind of dreamed of going, and when you read Marvel comics, it was like you was in New York, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up kind of like, this is New York. So I'd open the book and smell it and go, that's New York. It's weird. And then when I got to New York, it was like, man, this is really awesome. So I can't say it was a letdown. I think it was like sensory overload.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a sensory overload for us.
I know someone who they came up here to New York, and one of the first things they wanted to see was Times Square.
Yeah.
It ended up being one of the last things they saw here. And the moment we walked into it, he stops. He looks around and he goes, "It's just advertisements." I'm like, yeah. That's what you wanted to see. You wanted to go see the advertisement. Biggest letdown he ever had.
Yeah, we stayed there.
I was gonna say I went last April too for my first time, and I just couldn't get enough stuff in during the time we were there. There's still stuff I want to go back and do. So,
well, next time you guys know me, so just hit me up. Gage, I'll ask you the same question. Was it what you thought it was? Because I know again, it's like going to one of those places where you've seen all this advertisement, all these stories about, and all of a sudden you're there. What was it for you, Gage?
It wasn't what I expected. There was a lot of stuff that I had expected about the way the city would be set up and stuff like that. Some of the unexpected stuff though was I swear you have to honk your horn at least 50 times in order to get a driver's license there. All day and all night. I live in Nevada. If you hear a horn honk, it makes you jump. People don't honk their horns out here, and in New York, I got used to it.
Please don't tell me you were driving here.
Oh no.
Okay, good.
Oh no.
No.
No, you don't drive in the city.
I would say the only letdown that I kind of had was when I was in Times Square and I looked up and saw that ball that drops. I was like, that looks really big on TV. But when you're there, you look, and it's like, that's it?
Yeah, it ain't that big.
But outside of that, Grand Central Station was just a magnificent place to see. And all these other sites we saw was just great. But my son, he really was good with directions, so we just followed him around, and he took us to all these places really quick. It's like boom, 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 and we didn't even have to think. We're just like, we'll follow you.
I got lost there. Like we had to use our phone to get around because I'm so used to being able to see the sun, and I couldn't see the sun.
Yeah, the building is too tall to see the sun.
Yeah, no, you just gotta know north, south, east, and west.
I
That's
just
that's
kept
it.
getting turned around.
I finally learned that because we would come out of our hotel and go down this avenue and walk Fifth Avenue, and we start counting streets. And the one place I could always get back to was Midtown Comics. Strange, I could always get there. I could get nowhere else.
That's pretty much the what happens in New York with Midtown Comics. All of a sudden, you're back at Midtown Comics, and you're like, how the hell did I get back? And Midtown Comics is like, don't think about it. Just come buy some comics.
Right.
For me, it's Bryant Park.
Oh, I always end up at Bryant Park. And no matter what happens, I end up at Bryant Park. And I'm like, how did I end up back over here? And I know the city, and I still end up there.
Ours was Times Square. Every time we went out and came back, we wound up going through Times Square.
I avoid that place like the plague.
Yeah.
A lot of New Yorkers tell me that.
Yeah, I almost got run over by a salesman. One of these guys that has the little carts, and they come running across the street. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! They're selling their drinks early in like a pizza stand or whatever. Man, he almost run me over. He wouldn't stop it either.
Oh my God.
The other really weird thing is everyone follows traffic laws there. Like in Nevada, pedestrians have the right of way. They walk out on the road, you stop. But in New York, you stop across. They stop at stoplights. They cross at crosswalks. I was like, whoa.
You have to.
Yeah.
I feel like that's only like in the really central city areas, like the tourist attractions.
Like if you go to Brooklyn and Queens, and they don't give a care, they don't have a care in the world of they're going to jump in front of your car and look at you like you did something wrong. It's like, that's when you get that I'm walking here.
I feel like that's a Times Square thing, and that's just because of all the tourists. Because for a fact the New Yorkers ain't looking that way; they just walking.
That's what I'm saying. In the rest of the boroughs, no.
Okay.
Well, that depends on where you are in the city, but it's the same thing. It's the whole concept of, okay, the tourists are here. Let's be nice. Let's not run them over. But they get run over sometimes too. So
yeah. So the subway.
Careful.
So the subway system was always something I thought would be terrible. Okay, so it's like a New York subway. Oh no, it'd be horrible. So we go get on a subway. We ride. It wasn't that bad. We get off, get out, and then we decided to go from like Manhattan over to Brooklyn. That was the longest ride ever. The cars are jumping and doing this number,
I gotta say, when it comes to the trains, it's like playing D&D. Sometimes you roll a 1.
That's because you're taking the 1.
That's just coincidence. Oh my God! Yeah, New York is an interesting place to live.
Don't come here.
If you do come, make sure you have somebody that knows the city.
After living way out where I live, I don't think I could live in New York.
Yeah.
People stacked on top of people, stacked on top of people, stacked on top of people. Oh, no way.
New Yorkers can't live in New York.
That's true.
It's
a lot of New Yorkers live outside of New York.
Stuff, but there's no way I could live there.
Yeah, I'm kind of out there in the spread out areas too, and I was raised in Kentucky, so there wasn't any city really close to us, so it was all mountains and wide open. And some of the areas are kind of like the city because the mountains are so close, the sun don't shine down in there.
Nice.
So it's just a different world, completely. So. Mm-hmm.
All right. I was gonna do something today. But I feel like what we need to do is drop it so other people can see it, and then we'll reveal what we did, Gage.
Okay.
So I'm going to show people, how the cards were drawn.
Oh, okay.
Is it gonna play for you?
We'll see what happens because I got to find the card here because I was looking for it on my phone and I couldn't find it on my phone. So I had to go to the conversation with Gage to find.
So, Mr. Gage, while he's preparing that, please explain to everyone what it is that Ralph is trying to do.
So he has a writer's prompt card set, and we did a writer's challenge where he randomly had the cards drawn from the writer's prompt card set, and then sent it to me, and it's definitely a unique one, and we both wrote a story based on the prompt.
Oh, definitely. And of course, we know the Story Engine deck because they've come here and been on the show, and it's just an amazing way. Like if you're looking for a way to just get your juices flowing and yourself writing, or if you want to use it for D&D, because you can actually use the set for both. It just really makes things juicy.
Yeah.
Here you have the Story Engine deck. So you have your agent card, you have your engine card, you have your anchor and aspect card, and your conflict card. So what ended up happening was I drew the agent card, and the person we were going to write about is a grifter. Then I drew the engine card, and what's moving the story forward is that he wants to obtain. So now what does he want to obtain? A necklace. A traumatic necklace. Now that made it completely interesting.
Is traumatic actually a separate card? Because I thought it was a traumatic necklace too. But if it's meant to be like, oh, it's setting the mood,
right?
The mood
it's an
is
aspect
traumatic.
Card.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an aspect card. So that's an aspect of the necklace.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. You were thinking it's a necklace that causes trauma, right?
No. I mean, I did what we worked on, but to me, I was wondering if that was actually setting the mood or if it meant to be a traumatic necklace. So
you can go both ways. The good thing about the Story Engine deck is that you follow the rules the way you want to follow the rules. The engine has its own rules just to make life easier, but they always say the same thing: is if it gets in the way of your writing, break the rules.
I managed to get it. I think both me and Raph were like, "What is a traumatic necklace?"
Oh, you're not kidding, dude. I was thinking, going, how the hell am I going to make a traumatic and a necklace? And of course,
so that's actually 2 cards, right? There's actually 2 cards.
Right there, yeah. You have the anchor card and the aspect card. So down here is actually 2 cards, and you can stack them in a way where, like, if you can do an agent card where it's 2 people doing something. So you pull the card, and then you get a grifter and a monster or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
what's the conflict?
The conflict is, but it will mean the corruption of something pure.
So traumatic.
Yeah, oh yeah, that played right into the traumatic necklace thing. So I think that's how it worked out for both of us.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta admit, because it came out like that, it really helped out the traumatic aspect of the whole thing. Because it was kind of traumatic getting these cards.
That sounds like a robbery, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so do yourself a favor, check out the Story Engine deck. I love them. They have a lot of different decks for a lot of different things. It's an interesting thing to check out. And again, a lot of people always ask how you get yourself writing, and this is a good way to get yourself writing because it's just going to throw aspects of things. And everybody knows who watches the Written Writ that I like to challenge myself with different things, either with people or being thrown things, and that's how we do the let's write a story together stuff. Like it's back there on the board that we've been working on, which I'm going to get back to in a little bit.
It's great for when you have those 2 hours to write and can't think of anything to write.
Exactly. Yeah, you just sit there, and who doesn't like cards? You sit there, you draw the cards, you play with them. And again, if it starts causing an issue to you, just break the rules and do what you need to do to get the story that you want to get.
Yeah, that's a great to do something there to get the juices flowing.
Exactly. So that's what we got. So now you guys, if you want to play along, you can come up with something, you're on your own, and then me and Gage will, if Gage wants to come on next week, me and him will show what we did
For
next
sure.
week.
I'm down.
All right. And it's funny because next week we'll have Dirk Manning here showing off his book, Right or Wrong, which is a book on script writing for comics or comic book writing. And he's about to kick off his Kickstarter for Right or Wrong. And if you guys are looking for a book on writing comics, do yourself a favor, pick up Right or Wrong. It's an amazing book. It taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't think about for a long time when it came to writing comics.
I'll make a note of that.
I think I have it right here. Yeah, I do.
And that's going to be on a Kickstarter?
Yeah, he's about to re-release it on the Kickstarter. I think his the Kickstarter goes live on May 9th, and he's going to be here on the show. Yeah, May 10th, the next day.
Dirk Manning is his name?
Yep, right here. Look. Dirk Manning.
Okay.
It's a great book. I gotta admit, like I know you guys know that I've studied a lot of writing books because that's how the written Writ became what it is. And then I sat there and I was like, how do I move everything forward? But this book I read like after I had read all those books, and I still learned stuff. That's always a good sign of a good book.
That's great. Anything that I can get my hands on it to help me write.
See, that's what I always say. I got this whole freaking library back here.
Okay.
And if you guys want to see a little bit of what I have back there, that TikTok that I was talking about, that we were talking about script writing, comic book writing, it kind of showcases a lot of the books that I do have. Not all of them.
See, and I get weird about that kind of stuff because, like, if he has opinions on like how to do it or like in what order and what's like bad story style to run or old, what is the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh.
Sorry, but it's just a bad opinion. You gotta listen to the book. The book is correct. You gotta listen to the book.
And for me, so I try not to. I do the same thing with movies. Like when Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man came out, I refused to even watch a preview. I wanted no preconceptions going into that movie, and so I'm the same way about my writing. Like I don't tend to. I don't tend to get a lot of advice, but I don't tend to take a lot of advice on it. Or the good work habits were the only one I took. Build good work habits. Do it. Do it. But a lot of that stuff, like when people complain about the fact that they're the same stories over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, but the retelling, like the unique telling is what makes it a good story. So when people are like, oh, don't do this, I'm always like, I don't want that preconception in my head. I don't want to be thinking that when I'm doing it.
I have an issue with authority. So anytime I would run into one of those books, I would stop reading. It's like, this is what you have to. No. I got to admit, what he does here, it's actually more of, well, this might work for you. But he leaves it in a point where you're going to have to figure out, which is one of the things we love to say here, what's your journey to become that script writer or that comic book writer or that book writer. What is your journey? And like I told you guys before, one of the things that happened was I finished reading all these books and I was sitting there going, it doesn't tell you what you need to know. What you need to know is that the only way to become a good writer is to write. And that sounds like a stupid thing to tell somebody, but it's the nitty gritty of the whole thing. But the problem with that is that it's a bigger concept because you're not just writing, you're on a journey to become a better writer.
See, and I think like Nike says that with the sports thing, that just do it. It's the same with writing. If you want to be successful at it, you've got to do it. And I'm not saying successful as in money, but successful in just doing your writing. Yeah, there it is. Just do it.
Sebastian around. I think it's Sebastian. It could be one of the other guys.
No, it's just a bunch of nerds.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So I've looked at a lot of books on storytelling, like in the noir genre, and there's different ways of doing it. But what you got to do, you got to figure out your way, but you got to figure out different methods of what's good, and what works, what don't. Then you got to find out what works for you, and in your own way you do it. So that's how I learned.
I agree with them 100%.
Those
100%.
those writer books tells you how those writers became a good writer. To be a good writer, you have to just dive into it. Exactly what we're saying.
Yep.
That's just my opinion. And he also tells us who he is. It's Sebastian, burning the candle tonight. Charles, if you're looking for another show to do, check out Nerds of the Round. Talk to Sebastian. They're cool guys over there, and they're nerds.
All right. Yep. I need to talk to him for sure. I will.
Same thing with you, Gage. If you want to go talk to the nerds, go talk to.
Talk
Just
to
to
all
warn
the
you,
nerds.
they're pretty nerdy.
And
All right.
Sebastian is a big D&D guy too.
Nice.
We love
So
Sebastian here.
I actually play White Wolf games more than I play D&D.
I know.
Yeah, the
And
old
of
World of
course,
Darkness stuff.
If you look all the way up there, you'll see my Vampire the Masquerade stuff.
Oh man,
Yeah.
so many years of Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, we geek out here, people. If you came to watch some other type of show, no, sorry. This is oh, there you go. I love Tabaxis.
That is lovable.
I love Tabaxis. I've played some interesting Tabaxis.
Why do I feel like that's a hot take?
Huh?
Why do I feel like that's a hot take?
Let's put it this way: if Shen was playing, I would suggest she play a Tabaxi.
Oh, that's bad. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Man.
If Shen were playing, I would suggest she play a Tabaxi. Tabaxi are humanoid cat people. Ooh, what we got here? So
you had me going down a different route.
Well, it's kind of the same route if you think about it.
No. You had me thinking of a different route.
That's an interesting question. What's the most valuable thing in your life? What do you think it is, Charles? What's the most valuable thing in your life?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I would say God and family. Okay. That's the most valuable thing I have.
Very good.
You know.
What about you, Gage?
I'm with
I know
him.
what Nat did already.
I'm with him 100%. I mean, that's why I waited so long to do my comic book. I raised 3 kids. Like, my son has 2 sons of his own now. My youngest daughter's graduating in June. I waited till they were grown up and did the dad thing and everything like that before I put any effort into chasing my dreams, you know? So,
Same
I 100%.
And of course, we saw what Nat's most valuable thing is. I gotta say, it's actually a good thing that you guys all brought this up, because one of the things about writing that a lot of people don't understand is that when they're saying you write what you know, what they're saying is you write what you know, meaning what you've experienced, what's happened to you, what you've learned, what you've researched. It's not just what you know, it's what you've learned.
Trauma. Not joking. Trauma.
No, I know the character. I know exactly.
So I don't know. I've heard that phrase more used in the context of denying people writing something that other people shouldn't be writing. And I agree with you more, because I write fantasy. You know, it's you write what you're interested in, what you're passionate about.
Exactly.
You know, and you use your own experiences as part of that and stuff. But I mean, I think you should never limit people's imaginations.
Exactly.
Like that. You know? Let them reach out and do, because that's how we inspire others.
Yeah.
That's how we grow as a community and as a race, you know, the human race. Like, that stuff inspires people. That, I mean, we're still inspired by stories the Greeks wrote centuries ago. You know, didn't Rick Riordan wrote the Percy Jackson series? That's Old Norse myth. Like that, those stories and those writings, like they become a part of our culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and now we have a more worldly culture, like more access to information and stuff.
Exactly.
So it's even more than they had back then, you know? Like, you should let anything you can learn about inspire you.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Gage. I think one of the issues with writing and people telling you how to write is that they tell you how to write and they want you to write the way they write.
See, I'm because you have a bad opinion, Ralph.
I'm an indie creator specifically because I wanted control of my IP. I wanted the story to be the story I wanted to write. And if I submitted it, or I mean, originally it was written for Netflix as a script for an anime, and I was just I didn't want to hand it over to let someone else change it and make it different. You know, that independent creator thing is about, it's about the freedom to write what you're passionate about. I love that.
Exactly.
Not only that, but it's allowed me to meet a ton of really freaking cool people.
Definitely. This has been a fun journey. It's been a fun trip. You know, Charles, I feel like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I agree with him on that. I think there are aids out there that you could look at, especially if you're trying to write a specific genre, like crime noir or noir. It's a little
Definitely.
different.
Yeah.
As far as like the storytelling is kind of a thing. There's kind of a knack or trick to it versus like doing a different kind of book. So I've looked at some of that, and it's really kind of helped, But still, it's still my story. It's still,
yeah.
I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, but I've learned a few things along the way that I can use to kind of help me.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, everybody always asks me, what started me on this journey for writing, and I was a kid in the 80s, and I was watching Channel 13, which I did. Don't judge me. And I ran into Joseph Campbell, and he was talking on the show about the hero's journey, and it sent me on a journey of my own to learn as much as I can about Joseph Campbell and as much as I can about the hero's journey, because this and what he was talking to me about, and he was talking about mythology and how the hero's journey is written and how it goes, and it's a way of writing as well, the hero's journey, and it's a way of life because we all have the hero's journey, and by the end of the journey we're either the villain or the hero.
Cool.
And I find that that's all of life. So if you follow the rules, if you go off the rules, because and that's the whole thing, either you're going to be the hero because you did what you were supposed to do, or because you did what you wanted to do, or whatever it was that made you into the villain, you'll be the villain by the end of it.
Yes.
And that all started from Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to in art, it's kind of like you have to know the rules before you can break them.
Exactly.
Because if you don't know the rules, then what you're doing then is you're kind of making a bunch of blunders all over the place. But if you know the rules, then you can break them, and it comes off as genius.
And boy, do I break them.
So there's kind of a, I'm not a genius. I'm just
Problems
saying.
with authority,
I've heard that
story.
Oh
yeah. I've gotten in trouble in D&D for that a couple of times, and I've gotten in trouble in life for a couple of times because. Yeah, I'll do what I do what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not going to do it because you tell me to do it, because I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do.
There you go. There you go.
Nerds of the Round. Nerds of the Round says, "Have a good night, guys. Gonna hit the sack now. It's past this nerd's bedtime." And looking at the time, I think we've been having too much fun because it's already 1:18 into the show.
Yeah.
So, Charles, tell everybody your stuff, and I'll put up the Cold Cutter stuff one more time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we launched a Kickstarter last night for Cold Cutter #2, a crime noir thriller. It's a story about Dylan Kutter, private investigator in Manhattan, modern Manhattan, and it's a revenge tale that basically, he's incarcerated some drug kingpin and drug lords, and Jabbo Jones escaped prison, tries to murder him as well. He's already murdered his brother, so he's after Dylan, and he ends up taking it a step further with Triff Austin, his girlfriend. So yeah, so by the end of book 1, there's a big cliffhanger. So this issue #2 kind of picks up where 1 leaves off, and we're going to find out what happens to her. And he's only got a few moments to try to rescue her, and we're actually introducing some new characters of who's kind of behind all this with all the drug business and everything. There's some shadowy figures that I'm introducing, and later on we'll find out who they are. So there's some backstory it's got to be told. There's some really cool things. There's a car chase scene in book number 2, and there's a lot of action, suspense, and drama in there as well. So come on out, give it a chance. Just give it a chance. That's all I ask.
Dudes, this book is fantastic. Go check it out. You like yourself a good detective story? This is what this is, a good detective story.
Thank you.
And it's funny that you you didn't watch Magnum too much, but because it has a good Magnum feel to it.
Well, I went back on like Netflix or something a few years ago and watched like 10 seasons of Magnum. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the same a couple times. All right, Gage, do your thing. Tell them who you are, what you do, all the good stuff, and because we want them looking at your book.
I'm Gage the Wolf, Nathan Johns. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Gage the Wolf. You can find my book updates and a place to contact me at Tenebrous Anima Comics on Facebook. Godslayers episode 2 just funded and closed out the other day. Backer surveys are all sent out, and I'm putting together everything to be ready when Kickstarter sends me the money to send out for printing books and getting them to all the fine backers.
And look at all this beautiful stuff. Come on.
I didn't even get to my stickers, which means the only place to get my stickers is going to be Silver Age Comic-Con in Reno, Nevada on July 8th.
Dude, man. Oh, my God. Look at this beautiful cover.
You mean we have to go over to Reno, Nevada on July 8th to a convention in order to purchase some limited stickers that will never be shown anywhere else again?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, but that'll be the first place that I sell them.
Dude, you got to film it for us, and we'll put it up on the show.
I will see what I can do. I don't even think I own a camera other than my phone.
Dude, all you need is your phone.
That's all you need.
Magic. As long as you got a good phone that has good video, we're good.
All right. Well, we'll see what I can do.
Dude, the main thing that we use now on Bitten Apple is my Apple phone. It records. It takes great pictures. It's like an all-in-one style.
This one's going to be
the Godslayer cover that we love. Oh, Pete did a fantastic job.
I can't wait to get the foil version of that sucker. Oh, it's going to be awesome. We were talking about foils on Cold Cutter, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to see. This is my first foil cover. So.
Oh, yeah. They really look beautiful. And that cover would look really good with that foil.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like drooling over it when he was showing it off in his Kickstarter.
Yeah, that purple's gonna pop against that silver, white's gonna be silver, right?
Yeah,
so, pop, man.
Yeah, definitely. And Pete did a fantastic job with this.
Yeah,
you heard Pete. I know you're not watching, but you did a great job.
He'll watch in the morning.
In fact, I still have that thing behind me, man.
Oh wait, yeah, show it off. Hold on.
Cool.
It looks even better in person. Look at that thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I like it.
It's so funny because when you look at it, it doesn't look like it's that big. But then when you see it that big, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I want to get this thing framed so bad.
I can see why. All right, let's see what else we got over here. Of course, on Monday, we had our friend from Jane America stop by and talk about his Kickstarter. Let's see if I can put this up over here again. Come on. Refresh. There it goes. Now I can put it up, share the tab. Here we go. Do yourself a favor. Go check out this book. It has a beautiful 40s feel to it. If you like noir, you're gonna kind of like this book as well because it has that nice 40s. It's amazing because it's you can tell that the art is modern, but at the same time, it has this beautiful feel of that age the book is written in.
Yeah, I like that. I saw this the other day. I think somebody shared it out. I think you did.
I know we had our pal here on the show, Jason, and he was talking with Nat and Jordan about this amazing book. Let me see if I can play the video for you guys, because you guys need to at least see a little bit of this.
Sure. Yeah,
Dude.
really. That's nice.
Oh, it's really nice. And Jason was on the show, and he did the show even though he got like some bad results from his cancer prognosis. And he right now he's probably going to go through a lot of more chemo and stuff. So and this book is really personal to him. So you do him a favor, do us a favor, do the book a favor, because it's a beautiful book. The art in it is just amazing. Some of these covers are like woof.
I really like his color choices and tone.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
his color choices are just like let me see if I can show off a little bit of it before we go. Here we go.
It's that noir look.
Oh, he definitely he did a good job at capturing that feel of that age.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah, that's like the old classic poster where all the women
exactly
in the 40s, during World War II. Like, we're going to get it done.
Look at that. It does. It's funny because you can tell that it's a modern art style done in the style of the 40s.
Yeah. I like that he put the crease in the cover.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's like somebody folded up in their pocket.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, do yourself a favor. Go pick this up. It's a good story. He actually based it on his grandmother. That's why it's a personal story to him. And what she went through as a kid at least based on what she went through as a kid in the 40s. Do yourself a favor. Help out our friend Jason and pick up a good book.
Sure will.
Let's see. One last thing. Of course, Son of Saint was here a little while ago. And I just have to show this off because, he's just an amazing artist. Let's see. So here he goes. Son of Saint. Beautiful video. I wonder why it keeps doing that. You should see what's happening back here.
Remember, every like is $1 that goes towards Ralph's computer.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably what it is. Let's see. Here we go. Every time I
he
look
only
at
has 4 gigs of RAM. Yo!
Son of Saint. Oh, we got a nice message on the side here.
Yo!
That's so weird. Okay. Oh, there we go. You're saying yo on the chat? Really? Dude, this is amazing.
That's what I found.
Yep. Son of Saint is doing a cover for each book. He's doing a cover for Cataclysm, and he's doing a cover for Corrupt Moon, which is gives me a chance to talk about the fact that this book is kicking off on May 15th. So go sign up to get notified, because, dude, the Son of Saint covers alone mean you should go pick up this book.
Yeah, I've already signed up, so y'all should too. Make sure
exactly.
you do. It's great. Yeah. Yeah, Rob's really talented, man. He is.
And on top of that, Tragedy is starting I think next week, right?
16th.
Oh, so it's that same week. Oh, it's gonna be a busy week. Yeah, so Tragedy is Phil Russell's book is gonna be starting on the 16th. Do yourself a favor, go sign up to get notified. It actually does help people out. It helps the algorithm. It puts you in a good spot. The more and it's actually a good way to support something, especially if you can't buy it. You know, by signing up to get notified because it helps the algorithm.
That's true. Yeah, Phil's got a great quality book there, man. I really recommend it. It's just a really good book. I've read all of them so far, and I'm looking forward to number 5. You know, he's got a really.
I agree.
He's a great guy too, great friend. You know.
I guess the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is so you guys can do the thing here. Hold on a second. You know, we did it. Gage and I did it. So if you guys want to do it, you know, make it a bigger writers duel. And if you do it, I'll put you on the show.
Heck yeah, come on and read it, right?
You're going to give some authentic art from Writ Ralph.
Yeah, my stick figures are to die for. Woo!
What are you talking about, Raph? Writing's an art, man. Write them something.
I can write something. That's easy.
Write me a poem.
Easy. Writing something's easy.
Writing a poem for me.
Do a haiku. That's a short and sweet poem.
As you see with the board behind us, you throw stuff at me, I'm just going to write something. And that's exactly what happens here with the Story Engine deck is you get thrown something at you and then you figure out how to write it. And I got to say I had fun with this, even though I got frustrated with it because I wanted it to come out a certain way, like I was saying earlier in the show. And I still don't think it came out the way I wanted it to, but I had to stop editing.
Well, you're going to be reading it soon, so you have time to edit it one last time if you want to hit it.
Don't tell me that. Folks, there you have it. It's on the screen here. Take a capture of it. Do something. And if you do something, I'll let you read it on the show.
So I got to ask you, Raph, how many times do you read a story like that you write?
I read it a lot. It's funny because a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't read my stuff." I'm like, dude, I read it so much that it starts to get ingrained in my head.
I read it so many times trying to get it right.
Yeah.
Like by the time someone else has read my story, I have to have read it 20, 25 times easy.
And I think that's one of the reasons that it's possible. Yeah, it could be wrong, Gage, but I think that's one of the reasons why me and you tend to like to write the shorts because we read it so many times.
So I started writing my novel, and my first chapter wound up being, I think, 7 pages, and my second chapter was well on to 13 pages. And when I was trying to write the third chapter, I was reading the first 2 again.
Yeah.
And I've read them so many times just trying to make sure that stuff stays congruent, and it makes it a slow process.
Yeah. Charles, is this the same for you? Because you know I know that piece that I have over here on the side. It's been read way too many times. Even I've read it and not done anything to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's my writing process is kind of like, you know, you just start writing, you kind of know what you want to do, so you just start writing through, and then I go back, tweak it, and then, you know, edit it, and then I found out, oh, that's not working because that's conflicting with something else.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of working through it, then I finally get it right.
Yeah.
I may have to go back and read it 10, 20 times, like,
yeah.
like Nathan's talking about.
Yeah.
then you have somebody edit it and they go, this don't make any sense because this wouldn't happen if that happened, you know. So then you go, oh yeah.
For me, it's always a misspelled word because I was working on my phone, and even though I read it like 16 times, like I'm so used to the flow of it that I misspelled that word.
Yeah, directly into the iPad, you know. It's just a little bigger. It's the same as the phone, basically.
Yeah.
Right in the iPad.
And it's funny for me too because you know, sometimes I'll use words and people go, "You used that wrong." I'm like, no. I know why I use that word there, because my style of writing has a more poetic feel to it. Usually, I can write regular, I can't say normal. I can write regular, but even my regular stuff has this, I could say, songish feel to it.
Yeah.
My wife says mine has a definite style.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you do.
I don't know. I always feel like I'm trying to sound too sophisticated, but when I go back to dumb it down, I don't like the way it sounds. And I don't know if it's actually that way, but I always feel that way, like I'm being kind of pretentious.
But
So
you
I'm
both
always trying to
know.
fix that.
Exactly. You both know that it's a writer's choice on how they write something, and
Yeah.
sometimes it kind of does something to your writing.
And we were talking about that because, like, in the style I wrote, I like made a point of not describing my characters really, not physically describing them or anything like that, so that people could get the feel for the characters how they wanted to. I describe like a man or a child, but I don't really describe their physical appearance at all. I
Mhm.
thought that was kind of a cool way to go with it, to see kind of how people felt as they were reading it, what they pictured.
I gotta admit, I don't like describing unless I have to, unless it's part of the story. I don't like describing people.
So the thing I notice is I don't describe the senses. I forget about the way things smell, or the temperature of the area, or stuff like that. And I'll go back and read it, and I'll be like, oh, I forgot like a whole bunch of stuff in the setting that I
You're
could have
telling me
done.
you don't like the smell of petrichor and the humidity around it?
I like the smell of napalm in the morning. All right, folks. If you leave us here, we'll probably geek out more tonight. So I'm gonna do what I usually do. I'm gonna press the button, and where it stops, nobody knows. Have a great night,
Good
folks.
night, everyone.